Hi there, Helen here from Sunflower Cottage Crochet. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made these bauble ornaments for your Christmas tree. If you would like to, you can add a couple of extra rounds and make it a bauble coaster, for example. You can add some ribbon and turn them into gift tags. You can use them as appliques on things, whatever floats your boat you can use them for. So for this particular project, there are only 5 rounds to the actual bauble, and then we'll add the top and the chain. Here, where I've changed colour, I've done 2 rounds in the red, 2 rounds in the green, and then 1 round in the twisted single crochet to make it look pretty. But I quite like the solid colours. What you could also do when you're finished, if you want to, is you could also embroider on a snowflake or attach a little Christmas themed button somewhere. Decorate it however you choose, but there are a couple of ideas I thought while I was working these ones up. So let's get started. For my version here, I'm going to be using literally some scraps of red yarn. To start with the magic ring, we're going to take our 2 fingers and gently place it on top of our yarn. Then at an angle, we are going to wrap our yarn around our 2 fingers once and wrap it up and over, making sure it crosses the first thread, and hold it down with our thumb. Then we will take our hook, slide it under the first thread, over the second thread, and we will hook this thread at the back, yarn over and pull it through, and chain 2. And this is our magic ring. So I'm just going to pull that end a little bit tighter to make the magic ring a little bit more manageable for me. Then I'm going to work 7 half double crochets into the center of that magic ring, making sure when I enter the center I go over both threads, both strands of yarn. So just as a refresher, a half double crochet, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that magic ring, yarn over and pull through, so we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And we'll do that for a total of 7 stitches. So we have 7 half double crochets and our chain 2 start, which counts as a half double crochet. Then we're going to tighten that circle up and we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 2. And this is the end of round 1. So for round 2, we are going to chain 2, which counts as a stitch. So that's our first half double crochet made. And then we're going to half double crochet into that first stitch. So effectively that's 2 stitches in there. And then we're going to work 2 half double crochets into each stitch around. What you might find helpful is actually using a stitch marker to mark your chain 2 at the beginning of your round, so you know where that is. But we're going to work 2 half double crochets in each stitch all the way around, so we will have a total of 16 stitches. So there's my first stitch in the next stitch, And I'll add another one to the same stitch, and we'll half double crochet into the next stitch and half double crochet into that same stitch all the way around. And then we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 to join. And that is what we're looking at the end of round 2. So for round 3, we are going to chain 2, which counts as a half double crochet, and we're going to half double crochet into that same stitch, so the very first stitch. So we'll yarn over, insert our hook into that first stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops in our hook. Remember, if you want to place a stitch marker in the top of this chain 2 so you know where it is. Then we're going to half double crochet into the next stitch, and then we'll work 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So we'll work 1 half double crochet in the next stitch and 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. You will end with 1 half double crochet in the last stitch because you started with 2 half double crochets in the first stitch. So at the end of this round you will have 24 stitches. So I'll slowly work my way around and I'll meet you at the end. So I've just done my last 2 double crochets in that stitch and I've got 1 stitch left. So I'll work my half double crochet into that last stitch and we will slip stitch to the top of the chain 2 to join. And this is what we're looking like at the end of round 3. So round 4, we are going to chain 2, which counts as our first stitch, and we're going to half double crochet into the next stitch. So we're not working 2 half double crochets in the first stitch in this round. We're going to half double crochet into the next stitch. Again, you might want to move your stitch marker to the top of that chain 2 so that you know that was your first stitch. Then we're going to work 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. So there's the first one, and then I'll work the second one into that exact same stitch. And then we're going to half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. and then we'll work 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. And we're going to follow that pattern all the way around. So we will work 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, all the way around until we reach the end. At the end of this round, you will have 32 half double crochets. So here I am at my last stitch. So I'll work my 2 half double crochets into that same stitch. And then I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 to join. And this is what we're looking like at the end of round 4. So for round 5, we're going to work this textured edging. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to do 1 twisted single crochet in each stitch around. Now the twisted single crochet is a fun one, I think, anyway. It gives the same texture as a crab stitch, but it's easier on your wrists and your hands. So I'll show you how to do that. We'll insert our hook into that first stitch to be worked, because that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We'll yarn over and we'll pull through. And then we're just going to give our stitches a tug and make them a little bit taller. Then we're going to twist our hook 360 degrees around those loops that we've just created, yarn over and pull through both loops. And again in the next stitch we'll insert our hook, yarn over and pull through. So we have 2 loops in our hook. Then we're going to just give them a little tug, make them a bit taller, and rotate our hook around those stitches 360 degrees, yarn over and pull through both loops. Now if you find that it's hard to pull through both loops, you might need to increase the length that you're pulling your loops through to before you do the twist. It might mean that there's not enough height in your loops to do the twist and the pull through. So we're going to do 1 twisted single crochet in each stitch all the way around. And I've got 1 more single crochet, twisted single crochet, sorry, to work in this last stitch. And then I'm going to insert my hook into the bottom of the first single crochet and slip stitch to join. And then I can cut my yarn and fasten off. And that is what we're looking at the end of round 5. Right, so now we're going to add the top of this bauble. I'll grab my gold for this. You can see I'm just using my scraps. And we're going to insert our hook into any stitch around. Now this is where See that bit there for me is a little bit bulkier than it should be, but this is where you can hide any imperfections. So if you don't like where you've joined, you could use the stitches around that. So I'm going to hide these 2 stitches here. So I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch and attach the yarn and chain 1. Then I'm going to half double crochet into this same stitch and each of the next 3 stitches. So I'm going to have 4 half double crochets. So there's the second one and the third one and the fourth one. And then we're going to turn, chain 1, we're going to half double crochet into the first stitch. And then we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. Now at this point you can add your chain, so it's up to you if you want to keep the same colour or if you would like to change the colour here to have a different chain. But we're going to chain 15. Or you can add length by chaining more if you want a bigger loop. And then we're going to go into the next stitch and single crochet, and then we'll half double crochet into that last stitch, and then we're going to turn. Now this row here becomes optional, but what I did just to tidy up the bottom of the chain and get rid of that little gap was I simply slip stitched in each of these 4 stitches. So we'll slip stitch into the first stitch, and then we'll slip stitch into the second stitch, and we'll slip stitch, making sure that we keep that loop out of the way, into the third stitch, and slip stitch into the fourth stitch. And you can see that that has closed up that gap quite nicely and left the hanger for us. And then we're literally just going to fasten off that yarn, and the bauble is ready to hang on our tree. So all we need to do now is weave in those ends on the back. As you can see, there's only 4 ends, unless, like me, I have already woven in a couple, because my scrap yarn balls were scrap, so I'd literally tied a load of little bits of thread together. We'll sew in those ends, and you'll be left with a really pretty tree decoration. Now if you want to make this bigger, instead of using a 4mm hook, you could use a 5mm hook, or you could use chunkier yarn and a bigger hook still. So maybe go for number 5 chunky yarn and a 6mm hook. to work your bauble up. I do hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today. Please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. And remember, all of the links are in the description to the Scrappy Holiday Christmas in July CAL, where there are 5 Christmas ornaments in the set for you to check out. And also a link if you would like to sign up to my emails so that you never miss out on a free pattern or anything else that I do. Take care. See you soon. Bye.